Evening, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm going to give it 30 more seconds as there's a lot of people coming through here, just so I can enter them in from the waiting room, and then we'll get going. No, it's the last thing anyone wants to do is listen to me talk for half an hour, 45 minutes. So we'll try and get through this, get it out of here, and you can enjoy your Mondays. Your Monday evening. I apologize if I get a little distracted in the next couple minutes. I'm on my own tonight, so I'm dealing with the presentation as well as people in the waiting room entering in. So hopefully it won't take. Hopefully everybody gets in time next minute or two. But this is being recorded, so. I will give everybody the presentation. I will share with everybody tomorrow, the presentation along with the recording. And if you have any questions, please wait until the end. We have a couple slides to go through, and I hope that I can answer the questions sometime in one of the slides. So just hold it to the end, and then I'll give everybody a chance to ask some questions if they have. So for everybody that doesn't know me, my name is Darren Patricio. I'm the Director of Player Development, which includes the U8 Academy program, which I oversee, which hopefully I don't recognize any names that I don't know in the list. So hopefully everybody knows who I am. Here's the agenda for the evening. We'll go through the structure of the 2015 Academy team, the uniforms and the fees, the pathway, our development framework, which we'll run through, which is specific to our U8s, U9s, and U10s, some age-specific objectives that we're looking for within those age groups, the periodization plan, which is basically just the training structure, and some important dates, what we'll look like on game day, which goes into our club framework, and then there's a couple slides at the end, or there's one slide at the end that'll answer a couple questions which come up and which we think are important that maybe we don't touch on within our framework and the structure of the club. So here is our basic structure for the U8 Academy team that we'll form for the spring. We'll have one girls team, one boys team, which will consist of 10 to 12 players. The girls will be coached by Coach Royce, who everybody I hope knows from U8 Academy, whether your child was with him or around him. And I will coach the boys. Again, hopefully everybody knows who I am. For both the groups, there may be movement between the team and the program if necessary. So that means, and I will show you in more detail a little bit later on what the training sessions and days will look like, but the team and the program will train at the same time and the same day for the girls and the boys. So if we feel that a player needs to come into the team sessions for a week or two, we're able to do that. If we feel that a player is maybe struggling a little bit within the team setup and they need to be involved in the program setup again, we're also able to do that. And we won't just move players freely. The 10 to 12 players that get selected for the team will remain on the team. So we won't be able to just chop and change as we go through. But we will take a look at every player's development and see what's best for them, if it's for a short space of time or a little bit longer. The girls will play as the 5th U9 team, which is the 2014s. They will be Team Rain. We will not call them U8 Academy teams as we have in the past. That is because it just falls into our structure within our club and the team names. So Team Rain for the girls, and the boys will be Celtic. If you don't know, those are professional team names. The Rain play in the NWSL in the US Women's League, and Celtic are Glasgow Celtic out of Scotland. and that just runs with the theme of team names in U9 and 10 on the girls and boys side. If you would like to know what the structure is, you can find that on the club website under the travel banner. You can find a more in-depth pyramid of the team names, but they will be the 5th and the 6th team, girls and boys respectively, in the U9 setup. So we will be playing against 2014s for the majority of the time, and I'll run through a little bit later why that's important to us. For the uniforms and fees, the fee will be $625 for the team. We came up with that number because that incorporates the winter indoor sessions that we run for the program, the cost of those, and the spring program for the U8 Academy. That combined, those two figures combined do not quite equal $625, but the additional cost, I think, which is $20, which includes a pair of socks, black pair of socks, which will be used for training and game days when we play in white. That's just a preference of mine. My OCD mind doesn't like when we wear white shirts, black shorts, and red socks. So that's a personal preference. So I think that's $10 plus then there's some additional fees which need to go into VYSA, which is the Virginia Youth Soccer Association, because every player needs to get registered into US soccer and into referees fees and some other additional fees that aren't included in the U8 Academy program. So $625, which basically incorporates the winter indoor sessions for the U8 program and the spring program. So here's our club pathway right now. The majority of you, again, I recognize most of these names. So you were all in, the majority of you were in the U8 Academy program, which falls into the rec program structure of our club. The biggest number of players in our club, players that make the team, will then move up a step and go into the travel program, essentially, even though they will be part of the U8 Academy program still, because of the training days and the age. We will treat the U8 teams as travel teams, essentially. So they will get everything that the travel teams do, game days, everything. It won't be treated every differently. They won't be coached any differently, even though we coach our U8 Academy program very similarly to our U9s currently as we do. So nothing changes there. And then, as you can see, one step above that is our elite programs, which your kids are still far away from. Once they get to U12 and U13, that's when that top tier comes into play. But the players that make the team will take one step up and go into our travel program within our club. Here is our development framework, which you can see where the U8s currently fall. So they fall under the same bracket as the U9s and 10s. You can see there we treat our U8 Academy program like travel, meaning our training sessions are very similar, but now the team falls under that umbrella definitely. So we will now have that U8 Academy team, girls and boys, which will fall then and join into our U9s and 10s. They will do sessions with some of the U9s, which again, I'll run through a little bit later as we go through our training plan. But they will now form and be known to the club as a travel team and no longer as a U8 Academy program team or a recreational team. So within that foundation phase, which is our U8s, U9s, U10s, we have 4 specific objectives that we look for. Some of them we rank higher than others. The 2 that we rank higher are technical objectives and game concepts. Those that played this weekend, I think you can see how heavy we are into the technical objectives, which is body shape, receiving with the correct foot, keeping our shape falls into game concepts. And then character objectives are of course important, but the kids are still young and growing into those, so we don't touch on them too much, even though it's we remind players of that. and the physical objectives we don't look at just yet, even though that's at the bottom of the 4. Those aren't too important. You could see again, if you played this weekend, there are some extremely big kids and we have some extremely little kids. We don't care how big or small, as long as their technical objectives are met on the field by the coaches and the game concepts are understood. We can work with players to make sure that they improve every day. So within those technical objectives, which is the top of those 4 concepts, are ball mastery, dribbling and disguise, passing and receiving, ball striking and finishing. Our sessions will all incorporate 2 of these, always ball mastery and one other. You can see by the way that the U8 Academy program was structured and the training sessions were structured, you would have always seen some kind of dribbling and disguise, which is a 1v1 game, some kind of passing and receiving, which is a 2v1 or 3v2 game, some kind of ball striking, which is maybe going to goal, or those bigger passes, bigger ideas that we started to teach the players, and finishing objectives, which we started to show towards the end, where we wanted players to score from further out. We will always have ball mastery, some kind of ball mastery, which just means players being comfortable on the ball to some degree, whether it was the juggling that we did, whether it was a setup where we asked the players to work on their technique. That's when we worked on our scissors or our step over or some kind of technical objective within that beginning part of the session. Always ball mastery and one other will be part of our technical objectives for our training sessions within the team structure. Again, that's nothing different than what we ask our regular U8 Academy program players to do. So everybody will be comfortable doing those. Within the game concepts, small group progression, we want to unbalance, we want to finish, and we ask players to have some kind of game intelligence. So small group, maybe playing in 2s, a progression, maybe getting the ball from front to back, how quickly we can do that and different ideas to do that. Unbalancing just means players moving in different directions. Finishing, that's self-explanatory, and game intelligence is how we can put that all together, basically keep our shape and players moving in different areas. Hopefully everybody that was in the U8 Academy program in the fall saw their kids improve to some degree. For all of those, we definitely saw it as coaches. And again, those that played this past weekend in the tournament on the bigger field, 7v7, you saw how important it is to have all of these going at the same time. Obviously, we work on different areas at different moments of the game. We're not asking players to do all 5 of these at the same time, but how they can recognize these in different moments of the game to make them successful is really important to us. So here's the weekly plan in the winter. Players will train in the winter and they will be outside for some of those days. So be prepared if your kid makes the team to be outside on some days. So we will begin the very first week of January, first full week of January. We will begin that Saturday, January 7th. The boys will be outside as part of U9 boys age group training. That will be a four session program over 8 weeks. The boys will train on the odd weeks. So January 7th, January 21st, February 4th, and February 18th. The girls will train on every other weekend. So January 14th, January 28th, February 11th, and February 25th. Those are outside as part of age group training days. Our U9s and 10s have those days put together. It's where the entire age group comes out and we integrate them all together. We either play games or we do some kind of small session with maybe a 1v1, 2v2, or 5v5, or we might just jumble them up all together and play one big tournament, 7v7 or 6v6. Depends on the numbers, because we know Saturdays are a big basketball day for the younger players. who play different sports, which is totally okay. We encourage them to play different sports. So whoever's available is expected to be at these. And again, they are outside. And once your child is accepted onto the team, myself or Coach Royce will have a breakdown of those days within TeamSnap, which is an app we will use to coordinate all the training sessions and team communication. So once the team is selected and your child is in, myself or Coach Royce will go through all of those. January 8th, which is a Sunday, we will be inside. That is again where all our U9s, U10s, and 11s get an hour each team at some indoor space at a local school. That's a 6-week program. And again, I know the U8 Academy program, when I mentioned the cost earlier, U8 Academy program is an 8-week program. And the travel program for indoor sessions is only 6 weeks, but you get 4 additional training sessions on Saturday and a number of additional training sessions throughout the winter. In February and going into the first probably 2 or 3 weeks into March, depending on when the official spring season starts, which is kind of when Parks and Rec give us access to the grass fields. In those weeks, the boys and girls will definitely train at least once a week. And again, those will be one additional time, and those will be outside. Once that plan is put in place and we have the space to know when the players can be on the field, Coach Royce or myself will share that with the players that are selected. One important thing within that, the highlighted portion in here, because it's not in the questions at the end, but anybody who has already registered for the U8 Academy program indoor sessions and is selected for the team, those fees will get transferred over. So you will get removed from the U8 Academy program indoor session, but the $160 will just roll into your $625 fee for the team. Same with if you've registered for the spring, that amount will get rolled over, and you'll see a small balance within your account. Again, we will go through that once we select the team and we know which players are in and which players are out, who we need to transfer, and how much of your fee we need to move if that's needed. Then you can see on Wednesdays and Fridays, I've highlighted 2 different supplemental programs. The players that make the academy team will be eligible for TDP, which is the Technical Development Program. This is run by Mo Hughes, our ECNL boys director, along with some other coaches. That's every Wednesday for a couple weeks, and that is only for players that are on the team. That is a travel program only, or travel player program only. Then there's Travel Futsal, which is run by Coach Royce and some other coaches as well. That is another program where players are eligible for, and that is in addition to those 2 programs the fees are in addition to your fee that you'll pay towards the team. And again, once we select the players and you're interested, let me know, and we can get you added, because we will have to manually, our staff will have to manually add your player into those programs. In season, which is spring, we will train Mondays and Fridays, 5 p.m. for the girls, 6 p.m. for the boys at Loudon Soccer Park, unless we decide otherwise. So nothing will change there. Training will look exactly the same or very similar to what it does right now. Wednesdays, the team will join the training academy, which is our U9s and U10s all train, girls and boys all train at this same place at the same time. That will start at 4:30 on Wednesdays. Players are expected to be at Monday, Wednesday, and Friday sessions throughout the season. Different coaches have different rules within their team. One of mine, so that you know, is if you don't attend a training session during the week, you're not eligible to start the game. It's not a big deal to me in my mind. It's just a reward to the players that did come to all three. But players will still play the same amount of time. But when you're 7 or 8 years old, starting the game feels like it's a little bit more important than not starting. So again, we will use Team Snap for all of our schedules and team communications. That will all be available once we select the players and once everybody is loaded into Team Snap. We will then have games on Sundays primarily. I've listed Saturday and Sunday here because there will be 2 weekends where we play Saturday and Sunday definitely. I can't tell you when those weekends are. I think the league schedule will only come out in the beginning to middle of March. It'll depend how many players or teams are in our division to see how many games we get to play. But our league is primarily a Sunday league. You can play as early as 8 a.m. and you can play as late as I think our latest U9 or U10 game this past season was kicked off at 6:30 or 7 p.m. So be prepared. Again, if you're on the team, you're expected to be at every training session and every game, unless there's a circumstance that doesn't allow for it. But players can't pick and choose when they want to come and when they want to stay at home. So some important dates to keep track of. The first important date, the player placement session on December 3rd. Everybody that's hopefully on this call has registered. For anybody that asks any questions, you have to be registered for the player placement day to be considered for the team. If you are not registered or your child is not registered, we will not consider them for the team. There is only one day when we will do the player placement sessions, basically because we've known the kids for 10 weeks. We have a good idea. We can see who's improved over a period of time. We don't need any more like we do for our regular travel player placement sessions where we do it over at least 2 days. We know everybody, but you must be registered to be eligible for the U8 Academy team. Again, January 7th is when the boys will be on the field for age group training. January 8th is when we will have our first indoor session. Those times and locations will be updated once the players are selected. Girls will begin the following week, outdoors on Saturdays, January 14th. March 8th is when we will run our first technical academy session, which will be, we call it TA. So keep that in mind. And that'll run for 6 weeks. March 17th is the first day of the U8 Academy program officially. It doesn't mean that that's the first day of training for the U8 Academy team. That's just a date to keep in mind. Mondays and Fridays will definitely begin March 27th, because that's when we think the grass fields will be open and we have more space. So if you make the team, the days might be a little bit different before March 27th. April 1st and 2nd is our first official game weekend. Definitely be prepared to play Saturday and Sunday on that weekend. I can't remember the last time NCSL gave teams one game on opening weekend of spring. So be prepared to play on Saturday and Sunday the first week of April. Middle of May, we're still working out the dates, but the middle of May sometime will be the U9 player placement session, which is players eligible for travel next season, the next travel season, which is for the fall of 2023. The plan is to create at least 4 teams, and we hope 5 teams. Right now we have 4 girls teams, 4 boys teams in our 2014 setup. and then we will add the U8 Academy teams. But our hope is to create 4 to 5 teams in each gender for the rising U9s, and we'll have more information about that when we get closer to the time. June 10th and 11th is the final game day weekend for the NCSL, which is our league that we will play in. So keep that in mind, because I think schools close on June 8th. So be prepared to stick around for a couple days before you go on vacation if you make the team. Okay, so within our club framework, we have 4 areas to the game. These are not new or these are not ours. This is just general within soccer clubs. Teams attack, teams defend, teams transition from attack to defend, which just means once you have the ball and you lose it, how quickly you can get it back. And transition defending to attacking is basically if the other team has the ball, how quickly can you win it back and how quickly can you attack. So there's 2 areas for our team's possession. There's 2 areas for our opponent's possession. We will talk a lot about the 2 in black, the transition, because if you have ever watched a U9 soccer game, everything is 100 miles an hour, back and forth. There is no U9 team, and definitely no U8 team that can keep possession of the ball and pass it around to open up and do everything that you see on TV in a professional game. Everything is how quickly can we go forward, how quick we lose the ball, and how quick it goes the other way around. You will get a stiff neck by the end of the season from watching your players run up and down the field. That's okay. So those will be the 2 moments that we talk about the most, and especially within our training sessions. Within the team's possession, we want to progress the ball, we want to unbalance the other team, and we want to finish our chances. So progression is just passing and receiving, opening up lines, creating triangles, creating diamonds. How can we keep the ball in different moments? That just is basically how we use our goalkeeper to keep the ball, how we can break lines, which means how quickly our defenders can get the ball to our striker and beating the other team's midfield, basically. We want to unbalance by dribbling or running with the ball. Those are 2 different things. Dribbling is where we create a 1v1 against someone on the opposition, and running with the ball is running into space, and how we can combine to get the ball from one side of the field to the other. And then for finishing, we have breakaways and ball striking, which we will continue to work on. The opponent's possession, in general, is to deny penetrating passes between our lines. So that means how we can stop the other team's defenders getting the ball to their striker, pretty much. We want to be compact, which means keeping the middle of the field nice and tight and not being all over the place. And we want to deny scoring chances, obviously. Nobody wants to give up any goals. So this is what we look like on game day. We will play in 2 main formations throughout the season. And this is what all of our U9s and 10s, these 2 formations are the 2 that they get to select from, the coaches. So nothing changes for our U8 players. We'll play with a goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 3 midfielders, and 1 forward. Or we will play with 1 goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 1 midfielder, and 2 forwards. Don't worry if your player plays in the middle of the field as the number 8 right there. They will not be by themselves. We have different ways of making the 2 outside players support the person in the middle to make the game a little bit easier for you. We will refer to the positions by these numbers. So when I, for instance, start yelling for a player to go play the 7, they will know what playing the 7 means. We will provide some documents for the players to go over. We'll provide some cheat sheets so that they can understand it, but we won't say players the center back or play on the right really. We will say, go and play the 7, go and play the 4, go play the 5, go play the 8, and they will understand what that means. And hopefully you will understand what that means too over time. So when we were putting this together, the team together for the first time last season, we thought that there were 10 key questions that parents would ask, that would cover hopefully the majority. I will go over the answers pretty briefly right here. The document that I send out, and that gets uploaded, will have maybe a little bit more in depth to them. You can also find these questions and these answers on the U8 Academy page at the U8 Academy team page, which is under the travel banner of the Loudon Soccer website. If you'd like to see those answers. So question number 1, why form a 2015 Academy team? Basically because we felt that our rising U9s going into the 2013s as they were going in were not good enough to play in travel soccer against the teams that we wanted them to play against, and that we were asked to play against within our league. So we needed to change something, and one of those was forming a team last year in the spring for the first time as 2014s, and they are I'm a little bit biased because that is my team, but they are extremely good, and one of those reasons is because they were able to play a whole season in the spring playing up against U9s, where they were able to learn the positions, play different positions, learn the structure of the game, and help themselves be better players once they were asked to play against good teams on a Sunday. Why only one? Because our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th team are still able to compete by what we do in the U8 Academy program. No other club has a program like we do. Other clubs have a similar program, but there is no other club that pulls in 130 players, girls and boys, to form a U8 Academy program and train them the way that we train our players. Again, I may be biased because I lead the program, but our staff is, if you attended the VSA games, all of our staff members were all travel coaches, whereas they had 4 travel players, teenage travel players coaching those kids. Those are also players that come out and assist them for the training sessions. So our staff is better, our player pool is better, our player pool is deeper. So we don't feel that more than one team is needed, but it's important to us that the top players are pushed because they deserve to be pushed, but also that it gives them the tools to be able to compete against everybody else. What happens if your child is not selected? We have our rec program, our Rec 1 program still. We have our U8 Academy program, which again, everybody on this, I believe, should definitely sign your kid up again for. So there's still plenty of options. Just because your child is not selected as the first players out of the program for the 2015s to play on the academy team doesn't mean that they're not good or they're not suitable to keep playing. We have many different programs that will test them and make them better players than they were if they didn't participate in anything. Will your child be disadvantaged for the 2023-24 season? Definitely not. Again, our plan is to create 4 to 5 teams at least in each gender. So we will have plenty of options, and within that player pool, each roster is capped at 12. So there's a chance to get 60 players onto travel rosters in the fall of 2023. So there's plenty of space, plenty of time, and plenty of good coaching within our U8 Academy program to ensure that your child is ready for the fall 23 season, if travel is the way that you want to go then. Is the team and program separated? The basic answer is yes, but They will still train together. They will still, at least on the same field and in the same spaces, they will still be around each other. You just won't see them on game day. At the U8 Academy program, the team will not participate in U8 Academy program game days. And again, the U8 Academy programs will not participate in the U8 Academy team games. So that's the difference. And the team will participate in TA days on Wednesdays throughout the season. So slight difference, but still falls under the same umbrella, same coaches. You'll still see the same faces. If Coach Royce or myself have a conflict for any reason, and my 2014s are playing at the same time as the 2015s, we will make sure that a coach that is familiar with the players is on the field, whether that's a coach out of the U8 Academy program or Phil Adams, who was with us this weekend. If you played in the tournament, who's my assistant, we'll get him on the field. And same with Coach Royce, we'll get somebody who's within the program or that the girls are comfortable with and know to make sure that there's some familiarity within the players and the coaches, the coaching staff. What league will the team play in? They will play in the NCSL. That is where all of our U9 and U10 teams play. There are 3 or 4 different divisions. There are many teams, many clubs. So it's about the luck of the draw, number one, who we get to play against. But the girls will be the 5th team in the girls 2014 division, and the boys will be the 6th team. Girls might be paired up with our 4th team, depending on how we structure it. The boys will probably be paired up with the 5th team, which means we'll probably play at similar locations, similar times against similar opposition as our boys' 5th team, and again the girls' 4th team. How many games will the team play? Typically 9 or 10, but again it depends how many teams are in the division. Last season, I believe they played 9, the 2014s when they were in the academy team setup. This past season, our travel teams played 10 games. I think my team played 10 games. So it just depends on the number of weekends we have, the number of oppositions we have, and the number of just the amount of time that we have to get those games in. When will the season end? June 10th or 11th is the final NCSL weekend. It might finish sooner. We don't know until we get the schedule, but June 10th and 11th is the final game weekend listed on their calendar that they've shared with us. Will your child be guaranteed a spot on the 2023-24 Spirit or Madrid team? For those that don't know, our top girls team is called Spirit. Our top boys team is called Madrid. So once players are eligible next season and everybody's together, if your child makes the academy team, they are not guaranteed to be given a spot on the top team in the fall of 2023. An example is last season I coached the boys again. We had 11 players on the roster, and this season I only took 10, and 5 of the players that were on the academy team in the spring are not on the current team right now. There's many different reasons for that, but the main reason was there were 4 play-ups playing with the 2013s, and those 4 play-ups came back down into their regular age group. So they were players that were born in 2014 who were playing up, and we wanted them to come down for different reasons. So if your player is selected for the academy team in the spring, it does not guarantee them a spot on the top team in their gender for once we get into regular U9s and all the 2015s come back together. What do your fees cover? There is a long list, but just to name a few, VYSA, every player needs to get registered within the state database. We need to get registered within the league database. It goes towards referees. It goes towards coaching fees. it goes towards field fees and many other aspects within the academy team. So there's a long list. Again, all of these questions are listed and in the PowerPoint that I upload, it'll be listed in the answers will be listed to the questions. And finally, will the academy team players need to purchase a new uniform? No, you will not get to purchase or need to purchase a new uniform if you are in the academy program in the fall. You will keep your same numbers, same jerseys. Again, you'll get an additional pair of socks, which is part of the fee that you'll pay. If you are currently not in the academy program setup for the fall, you will need to purchase a uniform. And again, once we select those players, if there are any, we will then add those players to the Capelli Sport database within the U8 Academy on the U8 Academy page, and those players or families will just need to purchase the uniform to whichever number is next on the list. Right, that's a basic overview. There's obviously the 2015 Academy team page. There's a lot of information listed. I will share this with everybody, but I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if anybody has any questions, fire away.
Hey, Darren, Joe Mills here. Quick question on the boys' side. How many other teams would we be competing against, that are part of this this program?
Part of this program? 0. We'll play against 24 teams.
So there's 24 other teams that are in this same league?
No. I don't know how many players there are. You go to NCS, just Google NCSL. There are thousands and thousands of teams that play in the league. It just depends where we get put in the division. Okay. We'll play 9 or 10 games.
Perfect. Yeah, I was just curious, size-wise, how big the league was. So
yeah, appreciate it. It's the biggest league in Virginia, Maryland. Anyone else?
Darren, do you have any idea on the Saturdays in January? Is that like morning or afternoon? Because we do have a basketball overlap. I'm just wondering how that's going to work.
Yep, probably morning. Those days are for the players that are available to come in. If you have a basketball game, then basketball should take priority, unless you want to send your child to soccer. But probably in the morning, if I had to guess.
Yeah, Darren, this is Amir. Would you provide any feedback more in detail for each players, specifically in regard to where they need to have more practice and focus beside the training days, so they can focus for the other days to practice on those areas?
No, I will not. If I'm honest with you, your kid is 7, so just let them keep playing. Some 7-year-olds can run a little bit faster than others. They're probably higher on the pecking order than some of the other kids. If your kid can strike a ball, he's probably higher on the list. Yeah, I don't give much feedback to players of this age, because things change. From you ask me the same question in 3 weeks' time, and I'll probably give you a different answer.
Good, fair, thank you.
Adam, there's no fixed positions. Everybody, we rotate players. They're too young to understand a fixed position. Christina, will there be a game every Sunday? Yes, every Sunday. that's listed besides Easter Sunday. There won't be games that weekend, but every other weekend from the first weekend of April till the second weekend in June, there'll be games, and tournament will, it depends. Coach Royce has two other teams who need to play in tournaments as well. So tournament is not on our at the top of our list to get the players into. It's more about getting them on the field and playing in games within a league setup. What do you look for in the player placement? Again, I'm not. If we're looking at 7-year-olds playing against 9-year-olds, the players that are a little bit faster that can strike a ball are a little bit better. There's different aspects of different. There's different things we're looking for. I'm not going to answer any more specific what we're looking for in players. I think you have a good idea if your player is a good soccer player, or if they need some work. So I don't mean to be blunt there, but you know, there's only 10 spots and we have 130 kids, right? So there's different things that we're going to be looking for, Naomi. Nikki, within the afternoon, we'll have as soon as the tryout's over, we'll basically know who's in and who's out. So within probably the next 24 hours after as the tryout or the player placement is finished. Games are within Loudon. We don't have we won't play at Loudon Soccer Park. There's a question about games where they're physically located anywhere within Loudon County at one of our fields that we get allocated. We don't have our allocations yet, so I can't give that answer, unfortunately.
Hi, my kid is not able to attend for the December 3rd. Is there an alternate option, or should we just go with the rec program?
Was your child in the U8 Academy program in the fall?
No, he was not. This is the first time.
No, then unfortunately he's not going to be eligible for selection if he can't attend.
Okay, and that rules out for spring as well, or?
If for the spring, if he's attending the rec indoor clinics, he can be evaluated.
Okay.
But again, I will send out an email to all the new families that have registered. But there's only one spot available within our boys program currently, so it's very tough for your kid to be selected. But that's a different conversation, and I'll send out some more information as we get closer to the deadlines for the U8 Academy program. Pause for spring break. Yes, there'll be a pause. We typically, there'll be players available. So we might do an age group training, a drop in. But if you have plans to go away for spring break, don't change those for soccer. And spring break falls in the same week as Easter, so there's no games that week. So we're good. I don't know any specific. I don't know specific locations. I don't know specific times. We haven't been given our allocations yet for the winter. We haven't been given our allocations yet for the spring as a club. So I've given you guys all general information here. Again, once your player is selected, once they are in the team and we're good to go, Coach Royce and myself will update everybody on the times and locations, which we will know by early December for the winter. The spring allocations will only be given to us in March, so we don't have that information just yet. again, once your kid is selected, Coach Royce or myself will meet with the team and those families, and we will provide some more detailed information. This was just a very broad overview of everything. No, Naomi, no, there's 10 spots for the team, but within the U8 Academy boys program, there are currently 71 players within the program. So I only have one spot available based on fields and the locations that we have and the coaches that we have. So the gentleman that asked me the question about his son that's not able to attend, that was for something completely different. Sorry for the confusion. Right, anyone else? Okay, again, all this information that we've gone through is on the 2015 Academy page. So go on there, take a look, see what is on there. I will upload the PowerPoint and the presentation and the video tomorrow, and I'll share it with everybody so you can have it. It'll be on the Academy page, the Academy team page, which is, again, it's under the travel banner, not the rec banner, where you locate the spring program information. The travel banner is where you will find the 2015 Academy team information. So hopefully I get to see you all on December 3rd. For those that are interested, again, your child must be registered to be eligible for the Academy team. So if you think that they are good enough to play travel soccer right now, and those that saw this weekend, the different levels, those are kind of the same players that we'll play against if you were part of the tournament. Those are the kind of kids that we're looking forward to push a little bit further. But again, our U8 Academy program is great for the players that don't make the team. And if that time commitment of 3 days a week in the program is too much, our Rec 1 program is great as well. So there's plenty of options for everybody. Don't get hung up on your child being in or out as a 7-year-old on a travel team. There's plenty of time for them to continue to grow and get better. So I appreciate you all spending probably longer than I wanted, almost an hour. Sorry, but hopefully I got you some good info there. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Do it tomorrow. I am shutting down from Wednesday for the next 5 days, so you will not be able to get hold of me until next week if you don't get hold of me tonight or tomorrow. So please ask me, but please check the pages first, so that I'm sure you can get some answers in there as well if needed. So thanks everybody. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. And hopefully the US men's teams plays better in the second half than they did today, because it was tough to watch. Thanks everybody.
Darren.